Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to answer a few questions about the domain name. These are some items that you're going to want to know about it and the domain name process with Ad2action that are very important. I would suggest watching this video completely through before registering a domain name. The first thing that you're going to want to know is that when you go in to register a domain name or point a domain name, you can actually go right here, set up domain name, hit submit. When you do this, first and foremost, you need to know that the domain name that you pick, once you find one that is not registered, make sure you don't put .com in this area because it's actually in the drop down here. Hit check domain availability. But the first thing you need to know is that when you register a domain name, that domain name is going to be registered to you. It's not going to be registered to Ad2action. What this basically means is, one, you have full control of that domain name. If at any time in the future you want to take that domain name and point it to another landing page or another website, or even take it and use it for another service, you have full control over that. Now, the way that works is we use one of our partner sites is a company called enom.com. In enom, we actually register the domain names through enom. And when you go through the process of registering your domain name for the first time on Ad2action, it's going to ask you for a username and password. Now, you need to write this down and remember it, because later on, when you need to manage this domain name for whatever reason, you go to enom.com and you click this login link here, and then it'll ask you for a username and password. This is the same username and password that you chose when you set up your domain name. Now, the Ad2action system will remember that domain name for future purposes. I'm sorry. The Ad2action system will remember your username and password for future domain name purchases. And what that means to you is that you may not always be asked for it in the future when registering a domain name, because the system will store that and then go ahead and post that over. Couple of other things you're going to need to know is you can go to enom at any time, and this is where you go in and administer that domain name. And when I mean by administer, you may say, well, what would I need to administer? Well, let's say by accident you delete your campaign on Ad2action, and you go, oh no, I've deleted the campaign that had my domain name. I need to now go point that domain name to a new campaign. Well, you do that through enom. You can log in, and when you log in, it'll show you where your domain name is, and you click on it, and then you can go inside their host area, and it'll have an address of where that domain name needs to point to, and that domain name will be pointed currently to the landing page on Ad2action, and you can change it from within there. So you can fully administer that domain name. You can also, one of the things that you're going to need to do is know that the domain name, when you register it, is $12.57, but that is good for 1 year of service. In a year from the time you register it, you'll get an email from enom saying that you need to renew that registration and pay another $12.57. Over the years, this price has been bumped up a little bit because enom raises their prices from time to time, or the domain name price fluctuates on the web, so it may go down, it may go up a little bit on registration. I've never seen it go up more than $1. It's just they've always kept it pretty under control. I think since the entire lifetime we've been with them, it's only increased about maybe $1.50 somewhere in there in pricing, so it's still an extremely reasonable price. If you have a domain name already with another provider like GoDaddy or one of these other services out there, you can also use those domain names. There's going to be an area inside this right here, right below your logout button, that says Your Account and Help. If you click on that, it'll open up an area. There's an area in here called Knowledge Base. You click on this, and there's information about domain names in here. There's information. I'll go down here to domain name related. So there's 8 topics in here currently about domain names, and there's 4 in common questions, and then how to point existing domain names to your landing page campaign. And you click on that one, and then depending on where that domain name is hosted, and you want to point that to your Ad2action site, we have instructions in here for oneandone.com instructions, GoDaddy instructions, and I purchased a domain name through Ad2action. How do I point it to a different campaign? So there's some information in there on that as well. But this is really the area that has some really good helpful step-by-step instructions that tell you how to manage that domain name more effectively. So, without getting into too much more detail, I just want you guys to be aware of um, some of the items related to the domain name, so you know exactly and you're comfortable ordering one, and you know how to basically go in there and manage it after the fact. We will create more videos on how to go in and point your domain name and manage it through enom. If you need that, just let us know and we can get those over to you. Other than that, if you have any other questions, please let us know. And this concludes our tutorial on how to manage your domain names on the Ad2action system, and just some basic pointers that you need to be aware of. Thank you very much.